This seems to come up done. Oh, thank you so much. That's one way of getting wired.
Actually, I think. No, there it is. Okay, let's stand up.
Okay. I'll wait for you to give me the high sign, James. Okay, great. Hello and good morning. Welcome. Always good to see you. Always good to be here. I'm a little bit under the weather. I have diverticulitis, so my energy is a little bit down. But I'll try and do a good job. The sermon today is discomfort of consciousness. I was going to say unconsciousness. That's uncomfortable too. I'm a little unconscious. So Merriam-Webster writes a definition saying the quality or state of being aware, especially of something within oneself. And let me tell you, with diverticulitis, you know there's something going on within yourself. Oh. So self-awareness is the ability to introspect and to be alert to one's own thoughts, feelings, impulses, physical sensations, and behaviors. At a basic level, self-awareness is the ability to pay attention to who you are and what makes you tick. Consciousness is really an advanced human skill. So here it is that I can share about what I know of being aware of something within myself. There is a process, and there is discomfort in consciousness. When something irritates or agitates me, that's really a red flag for my consciousness. There's something for me to consider, or perhaps reconsider. And I may ask myself, whose belief system am I living anyway? Maybe there are beliefs that are not even mine, or they're handed down to me through the family system or social structure that are no longer relevant to who I am today. It's like when the Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your association with others. I have found that if I don't take time to improve my consciousness through a deconstructed examination of my thoughts and my actions, that I am living in an unconscious system that is probably stifling me in some unintended way. I may be sending inadvertent messages that are perhaps damaging to a relationship, or sleeping through my life process and wondering who I am, what is happening, and when will this end. My inculcated belief or beliefs may be outmoded, no longer germane to where I am in my life process now. And that's uncomfortable. And is that the apprehension that I want to live with? Is that the energy I want to emit? Is my spiritual growth being upended by useless beliefs? These are the discomforts of waking up to consciousness. Sound sleep is such a luxury. There's nothing better than a good night's sleep, eh? Maybe a great meal. Maybe a hot shower on a cold morning. But all of these have discomfort built into them. A great meal means you have to shop for the fine food. There's preparation and there's dishes. And if you're lucky enough to be served a meal, there's a bill to pay. A hot shower means there is discomfort of when the hot shower ends and the chill comes into your body from before you've dried yourself off and dressed. And when I am in the moment of simply feeling the chill in my skin or my innards, I also know in the moment all things pass. I remember one chilly October, I was riding my motorcycle from the East Village to my house in Greenport. I was all geared up with my leathers, as I like to be. And the first thing that I noticed in the first third of the ride, was that I was very comfortable. I was really in control. I had my windshield, I had my helmet, I had my goggles. I was feeling really comfortable. The second half, however, I was feeling a little more cold than I thought I would. And the last third, I was very concerned for hypothermia. I thought that I wouldn't make it home. And the only thing that saved my bacon was staying in the moment, knowing this would pass, staying in the conscious contact of Great Spirit. And that ride turned into a vision quest. When I did finally arrive home, I got into a hot tub to restore my temperature. And so the discomfort led me to a greater consciousness of aerodynamics and what I need to pay closer attention to when I'm on my motorcycle, and to my own capability of being present beyond my ken. And waking up from a deep sleep also has its discomfort, the state between waking and sleeping, that time when we are still with the world of the spirit angels, when we just want to keep on sleeping, snuggle in. Waking is an intrusion on our ethereal senses, because now we have to think, we have to see, we have to hear, and we have to respond to the world on the world's terms. And so it is, too, that we deal with the discomfort of spiritual consciousness. Paying attention to my inner world brings light, and it brings discomfort. Just as when a room has been shut away that's finally been opened just a small bit, we think, oh, yay, the light is coming in, and then we get to see how much dust there is. And that's when the pull to go back to sleep is the greatest. And staying awake is another challenge of consciousness, and that takes effort. But my experiences have also taught me that when I stay with it, when I apply myself through the discomfort, consciousness gives way to me becoming more fully me, one with universe, fully myself. And what does that mean, fully myself? For me, it means authenticity, willing and able to stay the course, ability to feel my feelings and say what is on my mind without lusting after pleasure or living in the fear of pain. Many times in my life, saying my truth has not been popular. And I've found that generally many people do not want to hear the truth. It challenges their notions. It challenges their meaning and their thinking more deeply than may be required for them. And perhaps questioning one's own status quo and maybe changing one's mind or possibly having to take some action. And all of that involves effort. And part of the solution for me lies in learning to be accustomed to some temporary discomfort. I don't mean I look for uncomfortable situations. Believe me, I don't. I do mean accepting what is, and that can be uncomfortable enough. And for some of us, heaven forbid that we should be uncomfortable. Because life hands us all types of challenges. And the task on my journey is to live consciously, to learn and prepare for whatever else the universe offers me. Because you know, life happens whether we like it or not. And since that's the truth, I need to learn to deal with the circumstances, not try to avoid them. Certainly we can try to influence the outcome, but ultimately, it is what it is. The more I struggle against it, the more pronounced it becomes. Pain is in the resistance. But when I accept what life offers, fill in the blank here for yourself, somehow there is an ease, a grace that supports my spiritual consciousness. Accepting that uncomfortable state of waking up. Acceptance is receiving. And if I do not receive whatever has presented itself, then I have no power. However, once I receive, I am in ownership to do with it whatever I choose. For example, you may hand me this card and say, Jeep, I want you to have that. Now, I may want the card, I may not want the card. I may want to give it to someone, I may want to give it back. But it's not until I take this card and I accept it, until I receive it, that I have ownership to do something with it. Ownership is key. And acceptance is ownership. Ownership is empowerment. Therefore, acceptance of conscious discomfort is empowerment. Acceptance of conscious discomfort is empowerment. That paradigm of acceptance, even and especially accepting what we don't like, is a form of self-care. Seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? To embrace painful discomfort, yet it's the only way to move forward. And why is that? Because we are beings who need to grow spiritually and emotionally. And as any of us knows, growing pains are just that, painful. And I've heard it said that pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress, and I believe that to be true. But once we move through the uncomfortable phase, and it is only a phase, we land on some kind of spiritual terra firma, temporary though that may be. Moving through the painful phase, sometimes I think, oh no, this is going to last forever. But one wise woman told me many years ago, yes, it is endless until it's over. Everything always passes. So what else can be an aid to the process of becoming conscious? Here are a few of my thoughts. De detritus. I'm not a hoarder, but I do save some things that I think I'll use in the future. And that behavior has its pluses and it has its minuses. On the plus side, I'm ready to move when action is required. For example, recently I was concerned for the stray cats that live down the other end of the block. And they've been neutered, and someone feeds them on that end of the block. But those were not my concerns. My concern was the sub-freezing temperature that was coming. And I spoke to this cat lady that I know and found out that I could make a shelter quite easily. So I did. I went down the basement and I pulled out this old Foot Locker crate and I put a hole in the side and I lined it with Mylar and I put straw in it and I put it out where they like to sit in my front gate because they sun themselves there. And by the way, I'm terribly allergic to cats and I don't really even like them, but I don't think I don't think I would like to have to dispose of a frozen cat either. So anyway, I made this this shelter, and it was with materials that I had for many years, and it was finally put to good use. And in no time, I had guests. But on the minus side, I saved those materials for years. They took up space in my workshop, and part of holding on to stuff is believing I couldn't acquire it when I needed it. So here's the lack of abundance, right? And then some fear is mixed in there, or that it would take time to procure everything, and of course that belief is embedded with impatience. And so it is with having mental room, a path to peaceful consciousness. Because when I'm jammed up by unexpressed emotions or old thoughts that are different than how I actually live now, then I need to abandon those outmoded beliefs to make room for the real, for the true now thinking to take place. Effort is required. For example, when I make a mistake, do I take off on a perfectionist mental rant that berates me? Or do I gently comfort myself about the mistake and get back to the business at hand? Or if something, or if someone is not behaving as I would like, do I go into a snit, like a tailgater when I'm driving? When I really have fear disguised as anger or superiority, and thereby resolving myself to more mental detritus. When I am aware of the mental debris, then I am on my way to a sustainable consciousness. Silence is another way that allows me to quiet down, to see where I am unnerved and busy with debris. This is the time of meditation and contemplation. Perhaps affirmative thoughts and phrases would be helpful to replace the mental rubbish. I need to take time for presence. In the high-speed world that we live in now, expedience and distraction are held up as virtues. The Nielsen Company audience reports that adults in the United States devoted about 10 hours and 39 minutes each day to consuming media during the first quarter of last year. Staggering, isn't it? This included time on our tablets, on our smartphones, on our personal computers, on multimedia devices, on video games, on DVDs, on DVRs and TVs. I'm exhausted just saying all of that. And these technological distractions downgrade sentience. If we would only take 20 minutes of the 10 hours and 39 minutes each day for meditation and contemplation and prayer, then we would have a prodigious practice and results. It is difficult to present to explore new ideas when there is spiritual somnambulating, when patience and contemplation is forsaken for screen time. Expedience leads to mindless moves. However, patience leads to persistence. Persistence and presence leads to robust prevail. Awakening awaits. The use of ritual is another strategy for self-awareness. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It involves intention. And when I make my coffee, I use it as a ritual to the universe. It connects me. When I walk down a street, my ritual is to be aware of my surroundings, acknowledging, appreciating, and enjoying all that is. Experience the natural environment is also a way that opens me to spirit. And the older I get, the more I need to immerse myself in nature. Out here in the beautiful East End, it's easy to experience the natural world than where I live in the city. So much of the times I yearn for trees and for fresh air, away from concrete. The deadening energy from the lifeless cement hardens my soul. So I go for long walks in Forest Park, but I have to drive to get there. The longer I'm around, the more I need nature surround. I've been doing a good deal of shamanic journeying for clients. And during these journeys, I'm not called to go through to a city. Rather, I'm called to go on a journey to a natural place, to enter the upper or lower world, to be with my companion and compassionate helping spirits. Even the color green sets us in a mood or a spirit. Some trees produce invisible chemicals, the phytoncides that reduce stress hormones. They lower anxiety and improve blood pressure. Green space shields stress. Nature is healing. There is no prescription for a spiritual awakening, but no doubt eating healthy and exercise are terrific ways to connect to self and universe as well. Consciousness is an ongoing, lifelong journey. We are not seeking an event here. Paradoxically, the more I focus on achieving enlightenment, the further I am away from it. It's like the story of the gardener yanking on the newly growing shoots to help them grow. But actually, she's just ruined the lot. So if I'm attached to having a spiritual experience, then I am riddled with ideas of what it looks like and how it will be and what ego might be attached to that. And there have been times I've been awakened with a rude bang. Yet going through cancer brought me to seminary. Emotional pain brought me to examine my relationship to relationships. As it is, whatever the situation, the more pressing need is for me to investigate my relationship to the situation, not the situation. The perspective that I espouse is what needs fuller research. And usually I look outside myself or at the other person and think, what's wrong with me? Why don't they love me? Why don't they treat me better? Rather than, why have I chosen this experience? Why do I believe I can get blood from a stone? What do I need to learn from this experience? Or what does it serve to eat what is not in my best health interest? I have discovered that consciousness is mostly gentle and subtle. My patient, persistent presence is needed for a conscious portal. For me, the ordinary becomes extraordinary when I am present to my discomfort of being ordinary. I'm going to repeat that. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when I am present to my discomfort of being ordinary. Presence of mind brings humility and willingness to be average. Consciousness is not sexy, nor is it trendy. Consciousness is substantive and humble, practical and plentiful. And so I say to you that if you want to live consciously, live from your heart. Raise the veil. Heart brings us together in all ways. Trust. Live in the vibration of I am. I am. I am. Say it. Feel it. Live it. I am. I am. I am. We are present to oneness with Great Spirit. We consciously live in all abundance, all grace, all love, all healing, all creation, all transformation. In this hour, In this moment, in this second, we are transforming. We are co-creating. We are wholly at peace with wisdom, generosity, and acceptance for all that is. We are living, breathing consciousness. Live in recognition that we are full with power and force that transforms the world. Regard your consciousness with care. We are all eligible for consciousness, for spiritual awakening. Know that if you are looking for the pathway, you are already on it. And as you know, yours is the perfect path. Use your ability to introspect, being alert to your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own impulses, your physical sensations and behaviors. Use your self-awareness to appreciate that through discomfort, you promote consciousness, that you possess an advanced human skill. And I will close with this quote from Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, the Zen monk and teacher. I don't know anything about consciousness. I just try to teach my students how to hear the birds sing. And so it is.